He would rather take a massive pay cut than to give me money to pay for his kids.
She was 11 years old, engaging with intercourse with a 15-year-old and got pregnant. And the first thing that y'all think to say is, oh, she was being grown. Do y'all not find the irony in y'all saying that she being grown, but that little boy wasn't being grown?
So when I was married for 13 years, and I 100% supported my ex-husband in the startup of his business.
He gave you permission to date other females?
Because he wanted to have a threesome.
Well, that's it. So you fantasize this as well?
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to More to Life. Before I get into this video, I ask that you like, comment, subscribe. Also, smash that notification bell just to be sure you get on my videos as soon as I release them. Let's get right into this one.
His job as an electrician, where he was making over 6 figures a year, to work a minimum wage job at a fast food place just so he wouldn't have to pay me $3,000 a month in child support. Is that not ridiculous?
Oh man.
He would rather take a massive pay cut than to give me money to pay for his kids. I'm just so pissed right now because how the f am I going to pay for my mortgage?
We do not care.
How am I going to pay for my mortgage? And you can tell me to go get a job, but then who's going to watch my kids? Because
Now, you see this? When guys say women who want a guy to provide, who want a man to do this, is broke, this is a living example. This is the living representation of that statement right here in your face. How am I going to take care of my kids? Now, I'm happy this man did that because he probably told the job, look, I'm going to do this for 3-4 months. I'm going to be back. I'm going to be back.
putting my kids in daycare is going to cost more than my freaking house. So what am I supposed to do? He's trying to act like he should only be responsible for 50% of the kids' expenses, and he doubts that they cost $6,000 a month. But I'm like, sir, I am doing 100% of the raising. I feed these kids every night. I put them to bed. I wake them up in the morning. I get them dressed. You're not doing any of that. So you should be 100% taking care of them financially. I told him when we first got together I was never going to get a job and he was going to have to take care of me, and he was okay with that. But now we're divorced and he's saying that he shouldn't be paying my bills. My baby daddy.
Of course you should be paying your bills. You're divorced. Take your money and go. That's why I'm happy. Well, they're not doing it here, so I'm not happy. Well, I'm not in the States, but they're not doing it in the U.S. But right now in Kenya, they stopped the woman getting 50% because they saw a woman running amok with half a men's stuff. All of a sudden, women become millionaires. And when they say the women in the U.S. have the most homes, this is why. Because of half in its time.
This is such a stone cold pack of weirdos, and I'm so proud.
That's wow. That's crazy. And you already seen from the presentation of the legs why the man chose a daughter. But the little girl looks like she's 14 years old, right? She seemed a little thick, but she looked like she's 14. And the man was fine with that. He said, it's fine. She looked like her mama. I'm going to knock her down too. Sad. What's going on? See, and these are the guys that get other men a bad name. So all men are looked at as creeps and dogs because of guys like that.
And her baby daddy was 15, which means she's 15 now, and he is 18, and they got a 3-year-old. The whole situation just don't sit right with me. You can just tell that little mama been grown in her head for a long time. Somebody should have put her in a child's place a long time ago.
So this video is not to attack anybody, but I think we need to have a community call in. We have to stop saying stuff like this, and we have to stop thinking stuff like this. In our community, it's been normalized to say, oh, this little girl being fast, this little girl being grown. Y'all say that, and y'all are overlooking the fact that when it comes to situations like that, there's probably a lot of dysfunction and trauma involved. She was 11 years old, engaging with intercourse with a 15-year-old and got pregnant, and the first thing that y'all think to say is, oh, she was being grown. When I went on her page, one of her pinned posts said that her mom got pregnant at 16. So there could be a generational issue that's happening in her family. I think that people like talking about healing and growing in theory. I think that it's a good conversation piece for some people, but the moment that they are presented with a real life example of the things that's being talked about, they get judgmental. Do y'all not find the irony in y'all saying that she being grown, but that little boy wasn't being grown? She was being fast, but that little boy wasn't being fast? Within our community, coming from everybody, we are really harsh on little black girls. And no matter how many people was involved, little black girls will always catch the smoke the hardest. And this is not me saying that I'm okay with kids getting pregnant. I personally don't believe that kids should be sexually active, but they're going to do it anyway. So just have important conversations with your kids about that. What I'm saying is when it comes to situations like that young lady, it is not just surface level. Have y'all ever heard about there being bodies of water or areas of water where on the surface it looks one way, but beneath it, it's really chaotic. And if you get down there, you ain't coming back up. Sometimes that's what it's like. It's not just, oh, you 11 years old. You shouldn't be doing this. Stop doing that. There's some psychological and mental things happening in the mind of a person in that situation that y'all might not understand. And another thing that I think will be really beneficial is to check yourself, because sometimes we as individuals push the same things that we're fighting against. We have all been indoctrinated very heavily. And when I see videos like the one I showed y'all, it just tells me how prevalent it really is. How casual and normal it is for us to think things that are actually counterproductive to what we really want. I hope that what I'm saying can help y'all see things in a different way, and moving forward, really think deeper about something or somebody before you judge them or their situation.
What she said, I agree with it somewhat, but also mostly not at all. Let me explain. What she said on the outside, it was right. Let me tell you this though. The problem really is no daddy. Right? Instead of no diddy, that's what I'm saying for a lot of these women. No daddy. No daddy's the case. I'm an old school type daddy. Now, let me be in the house with that little girl. Let me tell you what an old school daddy doing. You going where? You ain't going outside. You want to go what with your friends? You going to a party? You ain't going to no party. What's going to happen then? She's going to be thinking, wow, because daddy going to be in the head. And you know what daddy going to do? You'll take that belt and pop that belt, and that's in your head. And it's real. When you have a father, right? That militant speech stays here. It does. Times I would do things that can get me in trouble, my father was here. So I didn't go all the way through with it to where someone would just stay mom in the house, emotional, not thinking, reacting like a woman. And a guy with no father probably gave that little girl that baby.
He gave me permission to go out and date other females. So I went out and I met...
He gave you permission to date other females?
Because he wanted to have a threesome. I went out, I met females, bring them home. He didn't like them. All of a sudden, one day, I met someone and we kissed. Me and the female kissed. I came and told him the roof blew off, Your Honor. He cursed me out. I can't believe you kissed her. What is wrong with you? How could you do this to me? After 8 months of marriage, all of a sudden, some girl starts calling our house. He's cheating on me with this girl, telling me about all the sexual things they're doing in the bedroom. I tell her to stop calling my house. She tells me I don't have to stop calling. Mark told me I can call anytime I feel like it.
Ooh, you've told me a lot. Let me see if I can catch my breath.
Then he denied being with her.
So wait a minute. Before you got married.
Before we got married, he wanted to have...
Which means commitment to each other. Mm-hmm. This man, your husband, says, I want you to get involved in an affair with a third party, meaning another woman, so the three of us can have an affair together.
Yes, that was his fantasy.
That was his fantasy?
That was his fantasy.
Was it your fantasy?
He wanted to have a threesome, but I always fantasized it, but never act on it until he brung it up. And
so it was your fantasy as well?
It said it's okay for me to go out and find the females to bring home for the threesome.
So you fantasized this as well?
Yeah. But never.
So she like girls. She like the kitty cat.
He just kind of helped you along.
And then when I brought him home, he didn't like him. Now all of a sudden, it was a big problem when I said I kissed a girl.
I kissed a girl.
So you didn't have a problem with it, but once you decided to go along with it, then your husband had a problem with it.
Then it was a big problem.
Mr. Leaks, what about that?
Your Honor, it was a fantasy, right, Joe?
Wait, let's get one thing straight. Joe works for me, not Mr. Leaks. You don't have permission to go over there and talking to Joe.
It's every man's fantasy, Your Honor.
How do you know it's every man's fantasy?
Because it is. It's a fantasy. That's all it is. It's a fantasy.
Your Honor, was your fantasy.
It was my fantasy, right, but I never gave her permission to go out and kiss or
if it was
anything.
your fantasy, did you share your fantasy with her?
She asked me. She said, well, what is your fantasy?
Uh-huh.
I said, well, I think it's every man's fantasy to have a threesome. But that was all. That was it. I never told her that she could go out.
You said, I think it's every man's fantasy to have a threesome.
Yeah, that's what that was my fantasy.
So did you want your fantasy fulfilled?
No, we were about to get married. So
that's
why,
not true.
John,
we wanted
we was about to get married.
Hold on a second. Let him talk.
We were about to get married. So It was just a fantasy, no threesomes. I didn't, that's...
So you were just sharing with her what you fantasize about,
Yeah,
but
she
you didn't
asked
ask
me.
her to make it a reality.
Yes, that's true. I asked her. She asked me what was my fantasy, and I told her. But I never told her...
To make it a reality?
Yeah, to go,
So then did you discuss with him once he told you what his fantasy was, and you found a young lady and brought her home? What was his response to it?
He didn't like none of them.
So but what do you mean when he didn't like any of them?
He was saying,
stop it. Get some help.
oh, she's ugly. I don't want to be with her. So I'll go meet more females. The one that I did meet that he liked it, she didn't like men.
Well, see what's going on with him with that situation. She probably cheated, and it's his fault. Look, bro, when you get married, when you say I do, you leave all of that sexual immorality and all other stuff outside of your marriage. Right? That's why they in divorce court right now talking about divorce. You just don't do that. You just don't. Now, that's the thing. Back behind in the West, there are some men that create the problems. And he's one of them. He created the problem. Now it's at its wit's end. And he wants to divorce her. And he's probably doing it ahead of time so she don't take half. And this is a sad situation on his part.
I was required to take all of the debt in my divorce or pay him alimony or child support. It's like, life's not fair. It should not be this hard to live in this country. And I'm drowning. I'm not the only one. And this video is going to be more of like a rant and just like probably a little bit TMI, but my divorce girlies are going to know what I'm talking about. So when I was married for 13 years, and I like 100% supported my ex-husband in like the startup of his business. Like I created his LLC. I did all of these things. I pushed him to go to his taxidermy school. I made sure that he had a business. I picked the start date. I made the Facebook page. I did all of the things for him. And in the background, I was building my own business and working full time. Fast forward several years, and we decided to get a divorce. Things just didn't work out. The why doesn't matter, but what does matter and what I'm really struggling with right now, and I'm sure that I'm not alone, is I was the breadwinner, right? He was a small business owner, so tax returns, write-offs, all the things, and full-time W-2 making over 6 figures a year. So when it came down to time for a divorce, even though the reasons of the divorce were not my fault fully, no, I shouldn't say that. I'm just as much to be held accountable for the divorce as him. Anyways, because I made the majority of the money on paper, I was required to take all of the debt in my divorce or pay him alimony or child support. And quite frankly,
she got hit. That's what happened. You just men, but what's happening with women being so independent nowadays and being married, right? And it's wild because it's to the point where women are forced to get with guys who don't have much. Like you have a lot of women complaining, but there are a lot of women getting married to guys who don't have much. And this is what happens.
You got me because ain't no mother. So I willingly took all of the debt and 100% am supposed to pay for all activities and all of the things, which I do. And like literally everybody in my life told me not to do that. And I thought, it's fine. I've got it. I'll be able to handle it. Everything's fine. I'm going to be able to do it. And here we are like 2 years out and I'm literally drowning. I quit my job to take my business full time last year. And it was really I didn't really want to quit. I really wasn't financially ready to quit, but I had missed so much work because my oldest son had, been hospitalized for his mental health a couple times. And then my daughter with her diabetes, and I was a sales commission job. So my customer service score was dropping. So it was like a mutually agreeable, like, okay, we're going to see you later type deal with my full-time job. And I am just like, I'm drowning in debt. And like, I get calls every single day, like, hey, you owe us this money, and hey, you owe us this money. And I'm like literally just trying to pay my rent. And I'm not asking for anything unless you like want to join my coaching programs. Like that would be great. But like, I'm not asking for you to like Venmo me money. I'm venting because I'm so frustrated because it's like, life's not fair. And I know that, and I'm not going to like sit in victim mentality, but like, it should not be this hard to live in this country. And I'm drowning, and I'm not the only one, and I gotta go to my daughter's basketball tournament. Okay, bye.
Why would you plug in? What is she thinking? Why would you plug in your program you have selling? Like someone wants to buy your program when you sound like a wreck. You look like a wreck right now. Nobody's gonna invest in your program. But anyway, because that was a bad business decision right there. And also keep your program and your business, your regular TikTok separate, right? Have two separate ones. Learn because you're doing business. But anyway, this is what happened. This is what's happening nowadays. Just like you see equal rights, equal lefts, equal fights, equal rights. Well, that's happening too with child support and women taking on the bills. Now, this is one thing that happened that you notice she didn't say. And she's still crying. She didn't say the man did this and that and took my house. Did you notice that? She didn't say the man said this, and that and told this to the judge, and then now I'm paying child support because he could have done that. What is that showing? That men a lot of times aren't stooping to the lowest route to have the cake and eat it too, as I showed in the beginning of the video. Oh, pay me $3,000 because you already paid me $3,000. He didn't say that, right? But this is what's happening. And when it comes down to it, women have to eat the bullet too. And nobody's gonna feel sorry for you. Sorry. Just like if it happened to me, women would say, that's good. Get all this money. So nobody's gonna care. Nobody's gonna drop a tear for you. You're already making six figures. You're a man. Congratulations.
You played yourself.
But yeah, guys, this is what's happening nowadays, and women got to deal with it. But thank y'all for watching. See y'all next video. Peace out.
Answer's coming.